It is rational for them to believe the evolution of human reason was not directed for the purpose of discovering truth. And yet, it is irrational for me to believe that human reason was designed and created by God. Curious logic.
Whether you are a believer or an unbeliever, you need to hear this thoughtful, positive argument for the existence of the biblical God. Now, it comes from John Lennox, and your life will be richer if you know who John Lennox is. John Lennox is a mathematician by trade, and he's a professor of mathematics at Oxford University, and he holds not one, not two, but 3 PhDs in mathematics. He loves him some mathematics. He has one from Cambridge, one from Oxford, and one from Cardiff University. There's a real good chance he knows something about rational thought and logic, as mathematics is considered to be formal thought. Welcome to One Life Network, everyone. I'm Brett, and I've been a pastor for a long time, and at One Life, we're passionate about exploring cultural conversations from a Christ-centered worldview with people who believe and those who don't believe. Now, if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, join our community by subscribing and leaving a comment. Now, in 2012, John Lennox appeared in what's considered to be the most prestigious debating society in the world. It's called the Oxford Union. That's what you're going to be seeing. He laid out his reasons for belief in the biblical God in several sections, and I wanted to give special attention to his points about science and rationality itself. He gets to the root system of where the conversation needs to be, in my opinion, and he uses one of my all-time favorite quotes along the way. Check this out.
I believe in God. I believe in the supernatural God who created the heavens and the earth. I believe in a God who holds the heavens and the earth in existence. I believe that on the basis of rational evidence, similar to the beliefs held by the founders of this house, who gave this university the motto, Dominus illuminatio mea.
For those who may not know, that means the Lord is my light.
They saw no contradiction between faith in God and the utmost excellence in rational inquiry. And if I dare mention my alma mater of Cambridge in this holy place, I would remind you that on the door of the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge are written the words, "Great are the works of the Lord, studied by all who delight in them." And as we look at the rise of science in the 16th and 17th centuries, Alfred North Whitehead and many others commented that men became scientific because they expected law in nature, and they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ashamed of being both a scientist and a Christian, because arguably Christianity gave me my subject. What I am amazed at is that serious thinkers today continue to ask us to choose between God and science. That's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car. When Newton discovered his law of gravity, he didn't say, "I've got a law, I don't need God." No, he wrote the Principia Mathematica, arguably the greatest work in the whole history of science, because he saw that God is not the same kind of explanation as a scientific explanation. God doesn't compete. Agency does not compete with mechanism and law. Why is there something rather than nothing? Alan Sandage, the brilliant cosmologist who became a Christian in his 50s, said God is the answer to that question. But people are now so desperate to show that the universe created itself from nothing, which seems to me to be an immediate oxymoron. If I say X created Y, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of Y. If I say X created X, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of X, which simply shows that nonsense remains nonsense even if high-powered scientists utter it. It reminds me a little bit of G.K. Chesterton, who said, "It is absurd to complain that it is unthinkable for an unthinkable God to make everything out of nothing, and then to pretend that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything."
That's the one. I love that quote. It's so good. I encourage you to go back and check it out again when you get a chance.
"The heavens declare the glory of God," says the ancient psalm. And we've unraveled a bit of that, seeing the fine-tuning of the fundamental forces of nature. It's something that's so striking to scientists that it demands explanation. And it seems to me that Arno Penzias hit it right. He is the Nobel Prize winner who discovered the microwave background on which a lot of the evidence for the Big Bang is based. He said astronomy leads us to a unique event, a universe which was created out of nothing, one with the very delicate balance needed to provide exactly the right conditions required to permit life, and one which has an underlying, one might say, supernatural plan. But I want to come to what I think is one of the fundamental arguments for theism. I take it this house believes in reason. That's why we're all here. And as a scientist, I believe that the universe is rationally intelligible. That is something that has struck some of the geniuses of science as demanding an explanation. Einstein said the only incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it's comprehensible.
Another one of my very favorite quotes, but it comes in a distant second from G.K. Chesterton's.
And Wigner talked about the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. How is it that a mathematician thinking in her head in here can come up with equations that seem to fit the universe out there? Well, how is it indeed? Because the irony of the atheist position here is evident. My atheist friends, and I have many of them, tell me that the driving force of evolution, which eventually produced our human cognitive faculties, reason included, was not primarily concerned with truth at all, but with survival. And we all know, ladies and gentlemen, what has often happened and still happens to truth when individuals or commercial enterprises or nations feel themselves threatened and struggle for survival. A leading philosopher, Alvin Plantinga of Notre Dame, says if atheists are right that we are the product of mindless, unguided natural processes, then they have given us strong reason to doubt the reliability of human cognitive faculties, and therefore inevitably to doubt the validity of any belief that they produce, including their atheism. Their biology and their belief in naturalism would therefore appear to be at war with each other in a conflict that has nothing at all to do with God. Yet my atheist friends still insist that it is rational for them to believe that the evolution of human reason was not directed for the purpose of discovering truth. And yet it is irrational for me to believe that human reason was designed and created by God to enable us to understand and believe the truth. Curious logic. By contrast with that, biblical theism asserts that ultimate reality is personal and intelligent, and the reason science works, and this was the motivating force that drove the great pioneers of science, is that the universe out there and the human mind in here that does the science are ultimately the product of the same intelligent divine mind. Human beings are made, we are told, in God's image, and that means that science can be done. That makes infinitely more sense to me as a scientist than atheism does.
The foundations of reason and rationality, that's the key factor in all of this. Because I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in religion, I believe in rationality and logic and things of that nature, which I completely support and think that's an understandable thing to say. But the deeper question is, where does our ability to be rational come from? What's the basis of it? It's the question behind the question that is incredibly important, because we've said on this channel many times, but it bears repeating, is that when it comes right down to it, the universe is either matter-produced mind or mind-produced matter. The Christ-centered worldview is mind-produced matter. It was the guidance system. Otherwise, if you look at matter-producing mind, it means that accidental, unguided processes developed something that was all about guidance and processes. And that seems just illogical on its face. John Lennox, I think you can take his words very seriously, because this is someone that just deals with mathematics, deals with logic and rationality all the time. Think about that. He's saying that inside of our minds, we can do mathematical problems that we know apply to the farthest reaches of the universe, billions of light years away. Check out this video to kind of explore that a little bit more. We'll see you next time. Hope that helps.